Is LinkedIn for small business worth it?
Let's talk about that.
Hey, thanks for joining us. Today we're going to talk about, is LinkedIn worth it for your small business? Today I am joined by Lauren Eisenhower. Lauren, would you like to take a moment and introduce yourself?
Hi, thanks so much, Mike. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome.
I am the social and digital director for an agency called Bunting, and we are here locally in Lancaster, but we serve both local and global clients. I've had, I think 20 years, almost 20 years of marketing experience now, and I've seen marketing channels rise and fall, but right now what I'm putting my bet on is social media. So I'm happy to talk to you about that today.
So just real quick.
Yeah.
We talked about social media. I think everybody's on the same page. When you say social media, what do you mean?
Social media as a strategy for businesses. So we know that people are on social media for fun and for personal use, but companies are really embracing it as a way to reach their audiences and build that reputation online.
So what are the 4 or 5 most common social medias in respect to how businesses might use them?
Sure. So a lot of people are on Facebook, first and foremost. So that's a great platform for consumer brands because you can reach a lot of people based on their interests. Same with Instagram. That's a sister platform to Facebook. It's actually owned by Meta, which owns both Facebook and Instagram. And that's a more visual platform. So people are posting inspirational photos, things like that. Again, it's really good for consumer brands because it's so visual in nature. And then we have TikTok, which is one of the newer platforms, and that skews a little bit younger. So if you have a younger audience, that might be something that you'd want to check out. But
Confession.
Yeah.
I have never ticked or talked.
Really? Okay. Well, I'm going to send you something later today. We'll get you started. You're missing out on a lot of good content there. But the one that I've really embraced, because a lot of our clients are B2B, business to business, is LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I want to talk a little bit about LinkedIn and whether it makes sense for your small business or not.
Right. Yeah. So that's our topic today. Is there's so many people that do and so many people that don't. There have to be reasons why people do, but I'm sure that there are some reasons why people don't. And I have a couple of those in mind as well.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm hoping our discussion today is. Let me start with this question. And it's, what should small businesses consider when thinking about LinkedIn?
Sure. So I think before you even get started, you want to think about, what are your goals? What are you expecting to get out of this platform and this social strategy? So if you're expecting sales right out of the gate, it might not be the best platform for you. LinkedIn tends to be more a tool for awareness and connection and building a reputation, just being on the radar of your customer so that when they have a need for your service or your product, you're top of mind. So that's one thing I would consider is, what are you expecting to get out of it? And is it a feasible goal? So then also when you're doing that, when you're setting your goals, keep that in mind because you should also be aligning your reporting with that goal. So
Reporting.
So
I have LinkedIn. I've never looked at a report.
Exactly. So you got to close the loop there. What KPIs do we need to measure to see if we're getting close to our goal? If it's reach, you want to reach more people in Lancaster County, then you should be looking at impressions and reach and how big your audience is that's seeing your content. But again, if it's tied to something like leads or sales, that's a completely different KPI. So getting that aligned with getting your goals aligned with your reporting is going to help make sure you're on track as you go along.
I have a side note there.
Yeah.
How would one determine whether they got a lead or a sale from LinkedIn?
That's a great question. So there is some good tracking on LinkedIn. So LinkedIn offers lead gen forms that you can, so this is a paid product of LinkedIn, but you can set up an ad that actually pops up a form directly from the ad, and it's pre-populated with your information. So it would say Mike from H&H Group in Lancaster County, and provide your email address. Of course, you'd have to opt into that, but you would put that information in for exchange, in exchange for either, the sample or the case study or the tips and tricks paper, whatever,
Sure.
whatever we're offering, is what you exchange for the lead. So you get those leads directly from LinkedIn. Doesn't have to connect to a CRM or anything like that. You can just download them directly from LinkedIn.
Okay, nice.
But again, that's only a paid feature.
So is that LinkedIn, the premium that they keep offering me the free trial of?
That's a great question too. No, so premium, and it's good that you mentioned that. Premium is more for like a super user, maybe somebody at your level.
I'm super.
Like yes, you are. You're a great candidate for LinkedIn Premium. Somebody that's a business owner, somebody that's in sales or business development. It gives you extra features to be able to reach out to people and make more connections that you're a little bit limited in with the regular profile subscription, which is free. Campaign Manager is the ads platform. So that's where, you can take organic content. And when I say organic, I should probably back up and explain that. Organic is just what you post. So you're not putting any ad spend behind it. You post it, your audience sees it, the people that follow your page. Or, if someone else likes it, people that are connected to that person might see it.
Good news. I'm 100% organic.
Yeah. So what you can do though, and this is a good tip, is actually put a little bit of ad budget behind your organic posts and boost them. So they're not only shown to your audience and, friends of your audience, but a target audience. So if you want to reach, again, like local business owners in Lancaster, you can set that parameter, and then you're showing your organic post to all those people too. So
Nice.
There's a lot of power behind the platform.
Awesome. I took us down a rabbit trail. We were talking about what people need to consider, and I stopped you at point one.
Yes.
Do you have more about
I
what
sure
folks,
do. Yes.
folks should
Yes.
consider?
So, and we touched on it a little bit, but is your target audience on LinkedIn? So if you are a retailer or you're reaching maybe a little bit of a younger demographic, it's good to think about, is my target audience and the people that I want to reach, are they really on LinkedIn on a regular basis, or are they only on LinkedIn when they're looking for a job? And that's true of some of the younger demographic. More and more, the professional audience, the B2B audience is engaging on LinkedIn like they would on Facebook. So I know for myself, I'm on it several times a day. Hate to admit that. But it's just kind of where I get my news. I get my business news. I see what my connections are up to. So it's important to consider if the audience that you want to reach is there. And
So-
a lot of that has to do with age.
So what I just heard was probably your number one reason, it wasn't stated there, why folks might not choose LinkedIn, right? So if you're a small business owner here in this region, you go, is it worth it for me? Kind of depends on who your audience is, right?
Right.
Like if your audience is all young and they're not even on LinkedIn, maybe there's no need to go on LinkedIn unless you just need it for your own edification.
Right, right. And, it brings us to an interesting point. There's actually a content deficit on LinkedIn, meaning...
Thank you for saying meaning and
Yeah.
describing it.
Well, and it's really interesting once you think about it, but none of the other social platforms are like that. But so many people have a profile and they're not active. So they're passively, looking at other content, and I can even be guilty of it myself, and this is my profession. But it takes a lot of guts to post and to say something and put it out there. So especially under that professional lens, I think people are a little bit more conservative. So
Well, there's a pressure,
yeah,
right? I'm not just doing this, I'm doing it for work.
Right.
So if I say something, does it have to be work ready, right? Whereas if
Exactly.
I'm posting something on Instagram or Facebook, it's just something I like. It's just
Low
something
pressure.
I want. It's
Yeah.
very low pressure. Whereas it feels like there's this higher level of something, I can't think of the
Yeah.
word, right? That I have to meet in order to do it, right? I see people on LinkedIn all the time talking about they took 15 minutes to craft a post. And I'm thinking, holy crap, I take 30 seconds to craft a post. So why would I take 15 minutes? What are they doing, right? But they're talking about how little amount of time that is. And I'm thinking they're putting a lot more thought into what they're posting than I am putting into what I am posting.
Yeah, I agree. And because of that, I think there's an opportunity to stand out. If you can be 10% braver than the next guy, there's a lot of opportunity to be seen because there's not that influx of content there like there is on Instagram or Facebook where everybody's posting everything they think of, everything they eat, every place they go. There's less content on LinkedIn, so that's another good reason to consider. If you could be brave enough to post, thoughtful content there, then it's going to be seen.
Sure. So any other points what businesses need to consider?
Yes. So, I mentioned ads. I think that you can get away with a purely organic strategy on LinkedIn, but it's probably a better idea to budget a little bit for some ad spend.
When you say budget a little bit,
A little bit.
so I'm not a huge business, right? When you say a little bit, are you thinking a couple $100? Are you thinking a couple $1,000? Are you thinking under $100?
It depends. It depends. So if you have resources internally that can handle social for you, that's great. That eliminates the cost right there. Some companies use agencies, obviously, so that's more expensive.
Full disclosure, we use Stoner Bunting.
Yay.
Right? That's
Thank
how
you.
that's how I knew Lauren. So we have decided we needed help. We wanted help, so we reached out to them. So sorry.
No,
Continue.
that's okay. And I'm so glad that you did. But in terms of ad spend, that can really be, like you said, a couple $100, even less. You can get away with $50 for a boost, and that extends the life of your post. But more importantly, it shows it to the people that you're trying to reach that aren't in your network and aren't already following your page. So, if you could start with a small budget of 50 or 150 a month for extra ad spend to get that extra exposure, that's better than nothing, and it's certainly powerful. So I say, part of the power of this platform is in the ads platform and the targeting capabilities. So I hate to see anyone miss out on that. But if it's a purely organic strategy, people do just fine with that as well.
Sure. Now it makes me wonder, the people that I see on LinkedIn, am I seeing it because they're organically doing it or they're paying for me to see?
It is labeled, so you'll see the little sponsored. It's small, they want it to look like an organic post, but it'll say sponsored content.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so you'll see it.
Nice.
Yep.
Nice.
And I touched on, time and resources. That's the other big one.
That is a big one.
It's, it's not a role to just hand off to, somebody that isn't marketing minded or doesn't have some background in this area. One of the big myths that really, bugs me, and I think anybody else that is in my industry is, just give the intern the social media and they'll take care of it.
Just because they're young.
Yeah. But, would you let your intern speak on behalf of your company at a conference? Would you, anything else that's really public facing? It's so much higher stakes than that. So while interns do fantastic social media work, I can attest for that. It's really more and more becoming a leadership role because of its high visibility.
That makes a lot of sense. Yeah. So when I think about why folks might avoid LinkedIn, it's usually one of two things. Either they have just made a commitment to, I'm not going to social media, and they don't understand that LinkedIn is a little bit different than Facebook, right? They might be totally against Facebook because they're tired of seeing people's meals, or just the hate that is spewed online. Or there's just a level of, I don't have time for that, or I don't understand what the purpose is. right? Would you agree with those?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a couple ways around that. It is time consuming. Say you want to post 3 times a week. The beauty of that is you can pre-plan your content and batch content. So while you should be active every day in, obviously answering comments, answering questions, answering your inbox if somebody, reaches out to you, and engaging with others in your industry or others in your community, that you have to do in real time. But producing the content itself can be batched. And a lot of times that's a good way to handle it. If you can dedicate a couple hours of your day each month to coming up with relevant content and getting that on a calendar, you've saved yourself the stop and start of, having to come up with a new idea several times a week. So there are ways around it, and that's how we handle it typically at the agency.
Nice. I was going to say, I know in my Microsoft Outlook, I can write an email and I can schedule when it sends.
Yes.
Is it the same for like the free version of LinkedIn? Can I write something and actually schedule that it will show up next Tuesday at 8 a.m.?
Absolutely.
Really? Even in
Yes.
the free version?
Yep. So you can do that within LinkedIn. That's sort of a newer feature, I would say, as of this year. You can also use a publishing platform, which is a separate program. Say you were posting regularly or you're posting on several channels, it will schedule and publish the content for you. But with LinkedIn specifically, you can schedule content in advance.
I was not aware of that.
Yeah.
That is nice.
Yeah.
That is nice. So you mentioned a LinkedIn expert a few moments ago. Would you consider yourself a LinkedIn expert?
No way.
Why?
And I've been to LinkedIn headquarters. It's actually at the Empire State Building in New York City.
I was going to ask
I've been
where
there
it
to
is.
train. I have, been right at the cusp of their new features and everything. But here's the thing. If somebody tells you that they know the LinkedIn algorithm or they know the Facebook algorithm, don't trust them, because the algorithm is changing daily. And nobody knows that other than, the programmers that work for the platform. So you you can't be an expert. What the best that you can do is stay agile and pay attention. Take note of trends on the platform. Take note of what's doing well in terms of your own content, and try to be aware of that. So, maybe you post a video, and then maybe you post a slideshow of images, and pay attention to what your audience responds to best. So while I can do the best I can to become an expert in the platform itself, I also don't know your audience the way you do. So that's the best advice I can give is try to pay attention to what your audience in particular cares about.
I can tell you that my audience doesn't like a text-only post. If I do something that's just text, it gets like no impressions, no comments,
Yeah.
no even thumbs up or likes.
Interesting.
But if I put a picture, and it doesn't matter what the picture is of.
Be a dog.
It
Yeah.
could be a dog. It could be a house plant. It could be a can of soda. It could be anything.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, more people see it or more people engage with it, even if they just comment on the content of the photo.
Right.
There's a lot more engagement once you have some level of media other than just text. Now, that's just my audience, apparently. And I have a relatively small audience. I'm only connected with less than 300 people on LinkedIn.
So that could be one of two things. So either your audience doesn't like it or the algorithm doesn't like it. And the algorithm is saying, I prefer content that has images and video, and I want something that's going to stop the scroll, as we like to say. But yeah, I'm with you. It's eye-catching to have some type of visual, no matter what it is.
I mean, the ones that have visuals, I will see 3-4 weeks in a row
Yeah.
from people who have done that sort of thing.
Right.
Awesome. So are there questions? Are there points about whether or not small businesses should engage with LinkedIn that I haven't got to that you want to discuss?
Yeah, let me think. Again, like I said before, it's really good for B2B. But if you're not B2B, is there value in potentially a partnership that you could make within your community? Is there value in an alliance that you might have with other small business owners? you could approach it in that way, where maybe if your direct customers are not the audience that you're going to reach on LinkedIn, would it be good for recruitment and finding top talent? I see that a lot in for LinkedIn, the way people are using it. So,
if not only that, even just peer-to-peer. I talked with Brian Kelly from the High Center, right? I might be a business owner of a fully retail location, but maybe I just want to be connected with other business owners.
Exactly. It's valuable in terms of networking in that way. So something like that would be perfect for an organic strategy. And it's good that you say that about your post, because I know that you in particular do one of the things that I was going to recommend for small businesses.
Oh, let's hear it.
Okay, so
I'll do more of that.
Yeah, you are a prime example of this. Not only just post from your business page, post from your page, because there's credibility there. We want to hear from Mike, the CEO and president. We don't always want to hear from the H&H group without a face, although we do want to hear from the company as well. There's more power to it and credibility when your leadership team or your executive leadership can also post and put a human element to your social strategy. And one thing that people miss out on a lot of times is employee advocacy. Especially if you're starting out and you're trying to grow your audience, there's huge opportunity with the people that work for you and are already on social media. So, it takes as little as send out a memo or talk about it in a town hall meeting that you have internally and encourage people to engage on social. Follow the social profiles on LinkedIn, comment, like, share, talk about what you're doing at work, things like that. It has a huge impact on reach, because all of those people have a network. Even if it's small, the compounding effect of that can be really valuable.
Sure. It reminds me, because I'm now doing this video level podcast,
Yes.
I was watching a YouTube video about how to make YouTube videos. And one of the things that they mentioned was when you ask people to like, share, those sorts of things, if you have a personal connection with them, you should always ask them to watch the whole thing.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
you don't want to tell the algorithm that someone watched this, but they only watched it for 15 seconds, right? If they're not willing to commit to watching the whole thing, it's probably better that they don't watch it at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I agree. And that's actually, I do that often for clients, is go and like the content quickly, because there is anecdotal evidence that says that, if content is getting likes within the first, say, hour, the algorithm is going to say, okay, this is good. I'm going to continue to show it. If nothing happens within the first hour, the algorithm is going to say, I don't know that people like this. So if you can have, your internal team or anybody that's supporting your marketing efforts like the content early, that's even better. And then in terms of, like you said, view through, so LinkedIn, the campaign manager does show you metrics for view through. So I look at that when I have video ads and video content and say, all right, we got 1,000 views, but people stopped watching it at 2 seconds. And I've seen, different reasons for that. Either the intro's too long, it's too focused on the brand itself. Like some people want to flash a logo and an intro, and it's this like graphic intro, and people just want to see the person and see the content right away, because that's what we're trained to do on social media. We just consume this video format, and it's like I don't necessarily want to see the graphics or like a long intro like I would for a TV show or a different ad format. So that's really interesting. But the nice thing is you can make those edits in real time and say, all right, we're going to chop off the intro of this video, and then your view through is going to increase, because the part that people are bouncing at is now no longer a barrier.
That's great. Do you have any words of wisdom as we get done here, just for folks in this community when they are considering whether they should or shouldn't try LinkedIn?
Yeah, I mean, so one thing is, and this is a real story that just happened last weekend. I was with a friend, and he's a CEO of a company, And he said, recently his marketing team has been pushing him to do more videos on social. And of course, at first he was uncomfortable, and he's
Sure.
like, I barely do social media myself. Why would I, be on camera and do this? But he trusted them. And he took that leap and started just sharing little snippets of his specialty is finance. So, little areas of expertise there. And he said in closing a huge deal recently, the client mentioned social and said, I like what you're doing on social. So
That's
sometimes
nice.
it's not the sale, it's not the handshake, but it could be the reason that you're on somebody's radar, or the reason that somebody takes your call because they've seen you and they know what you're talking about.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
It reminds me, Kate Kohler from Staub and Associates, the Sandler franchise
Yes.
in York. She shares on LinkedIn regularly, almost every day. And she made a post about something she thought was a throwaway kind of comment, right? It wasn't necessarily intended, but it resonated with someone. They called her, and it ended up being, and I can't remember the exact number, but I believe it was over $100,000 worth of business.
Absolutely.
Because this person saw one post that she did, right? And if she never has another post, it was worth it.
That paid for itself.
It paid,
Yeah.
right? And she didn't pay for anything.
Right.
Right? She just put
It's
something
just
out
taking
there
the risk.
and it resonated with that person so much.
Yes.
I am
exactly.
so happy that you joined us today.
Thank you so much. I'm happy as well. Thanks for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
We can do part 2. We'll cover Facebook.
That sounds good. That sounds good. Hey, thank you guys for joining us as well. If you have a topic that you would like discussed on Is It Worth It, just shoot me an email at info@thinkhh.com, and we'll see you next time.